Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Courageous Conversation with Monica Bright of Enhanced Body. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to have you with me today, Monica.
I am so excited for this conversation. I've been looking forward to it for
Thank
a
you, thank you.
long time.
And I have to be really transparent and say that I know Monica and her amazing yoga skills because she has helped to transform my body in such phenomenal ways over the last 7, 8 years.
Yeah, it's been that
Easily.
long. Wow.
Yes, it has been that long. So, for those who don't know you, can you give a little intro into yourself and Enhanced Body?
Sure. How far back do you want me to go?
As far back as you would like, my friend.
Okay, well, I'll start with the fact that I started teaching yoga in 2012.
Mhm.
Before becoming a yoga teacher, I was an elementary school teacher and an
Wow.
educational consultant.
Wow.
And so I always knew that my life's purpose was to be a teacher in some form,
Mhm.
and really to be a yoga teacher, a teacher of movement, an
Mhm.
educator of your body and what's
Mhm.
going on with it. And so since 2012, I've done a number of different things. I've taught in studios, I've hosted retreats, I deliver workshops, just all sorts of things. And what I believe is that teachers need a diversified income stream.
Hmm.
Right? In 2020,
Mhm.
when we were all home,
Lockdown.
I was able to bring one of my long held dreams to fruition, and that was to pivot and begin to teach online. So I created my own online yoga studio. And so I have memberships for it. Then I branched out and started to teach courses and workshops to teachers and students. As long as I can remember, been my goal to make sure that people are educated about what they're doing.
Mhm.
And so it
Mhm.
has never been enough for me to just go in and teach a class and be done with it. I needed to have people have an understanding of what we're doing and why.
I love it.
Know,
I love
the
it. I
why
love it.
behind it.
I love
So that's a big part of even the online studio. Is this a teaching studio? So we have over 300 recorded classes in
Wow.
membership.
Already available?
Oh, yes, already
Excellent.
available
Okay.
along with live classes and tutorials, teaching videos. So it's not just about come take a class.
Mhm.
It's
Learn about your body.
learn about your body, but then also like tree pose. Let's break it down. Let's talk about
Love
it.
it.
Why do
Love
we
it.
do this? Why do you place your foot here and not there? This stemmed from when I actually taught in person, and I
Mhm.
was like, God, I want to stop this class and I want to talk to people,
Mhm.
have a conversation about what we're doing. But, in-person classes are like, they're 60 minutes or 75 minutes,
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
got to get in, teach what you got to teach, and then get
Get to your
out.
next class.
Yeah,
Understood.
yeah. So there
So,
really isn't that space for that kind of learning. But I knew that I wanted it to be a part of the online space.
so it sounds like you really wanted there to be a more comprehensive yoga understanding and
Absolutely.
yoga practice. And so just to go back a little bit, because part of my enthusiasm in talking with you and with others in courageous conversations is how did you make your passion your purpose? So how did you flip and decide to, for lack of a better way of putting it, invest in you when you said you were formally trained as an educator in the, I'm going to assume, the public school system or a
Yes.
school system, and then you decided to take a risk and concentrate on you. So give me a little insight into how that churned in your head.
Yeah, so I'm going to be super honest with you right now. I was teaching when I was in the classroom, I was teaching kindergarten and first grade.
Mhm.
And when I was consulting, I was working with teachers and administrators in preschool all the way up to 8th grade,
Okay.
right? So I was surrounded by children, right? Right. And the truth is that when I had my own children, I was like, there is no way that I can
Mhm,
go to work and be
mhm.
with children and
All
come
day.
home and be
Mhm.
with more children.
Understood. I think you heard an amen in the audience. Everyone said exactly.
Yeah. And so, and I know that there are plenty of teachers that do it,
Mhm,
right? So it can be done. But for me, what I didn't want to do was ever be in a place where I slighted my own children or I slighted like my work
mhm,
children,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And so I decided I didn't want to consult anymore. I took some time off from that after having a child.
mhm.
And then when it was time for me to re-enter the workforce, uh, I did interview for some positions at like the school district level,
Mhm.
but I wasn't really passionate about it. It was just like, well, I'm just gonna do this because it seems like the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. But a friend of mine invited me to come and take a yoga class with her. And, I had been practicing yoga for many years just at home
Personally.
before her invitation. And because we were both at home, she had taken some time off from school and I was between careers. We decided to go to yoga and then we started going every day. And we loved the classes, but we also loved the social time that we got to spend with
Mhm,
each other.
mhm.
And so we were taking class after class, and then, they started talking about teacher trainings, and I was like, they're not talking to me. And then maybe like the seventh or eighth time I heard it, I was like, maybe they're talking to
Maybe
me,
they are.
right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
one of the things that is a huge barrier for some people is this, public speaking or getting
Sure.
up in front of people, and that was never a problem for me.
Okay.
So I was like, well, I'm not afraid to do that,
Mhm,
so I might as well just do it, do
mhm.
the training and become a teacher, and that's how that all
The door
happened.
open.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that while you had your feet dabbling in the teacher world water before the pandemic, you jumped in head first in 2020. And so I'm trying to get a little feel for how you got the courage to do that. One, because I'm assuming that you are not independently wealthy. And so there are things called bills and a
Right.
budget and a household to run. So I know for myself, it took a little maneuvering to decide that you were going to go all in for you. So how did you decide? Because this has always been your passion, it sounds like. It sounds like that you just found a different outlet until you came to the outlet.
So I'll tell you what sparked the idea.
Mhm,
And okay, so I started teaching in 2012, right?
mhm,
Around 2014, I had a couple, they were engaged to be married,
mhm.
students who the soon to be husband had just finished his graduate studies at the University of Chicago, and
Okay,
they were leaving Chicago and moving to California. And
okay.
they said to me, Monica, do you have any online offerings? Because we love you and we
Want to
want to
remain with you.
continue, yeah, taking classes with you. And I said, no, well, no, I don't. But it planted the seed, right? And I was like, I
Absolutely.
have got to figure that out. Now, having a full schedule, working full time, and then also raising children,
Mhm.
in my mind, because they are excuses, I was like, I'm too busy to figure
Mhm.
that out. I
Absolutely.
don't have time to figure that out. The tech is too confusing and I can't figure it out.
Mhm, mhm.
But the reality is, like I said before, those are just excuses
Absolutely.
because
We all make them.
right, we can, but we can all find time. right?
Whatever we find important.
Right.
Absolutely.
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 And the tech issues are just problems that need to be solved. Right?
You're right. You're
Right.
right.
So it was a seed that had been planted. I had I dabbled in it. I tried, uploading some videos,
Mhm.
and, through trial and error was like, this is a big commitment.
Mhm.
At that
Mhm.
point, it was taking me like 6 to 8 hours to upload one video. And I was like, this is crazy, but I'm committed to doing it.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna just bite the bullet and wait the 6 to 8 hours to get this
Mhm.
one video up.
Mhm. Mhm.
But then we know that in March of 2020, studios closed down. All of us were sent home, or most of
Absolutely.
us were sent home.
Absolutely.
So at that time, I was working for 4 studios.
Mhm.
And a couple of the studios said, we're just going to close down for a couple of weeks, you
As
know.
we all thought. We
Right,
all thought the
right.
world was closing for a few weeks.
Right, right. So until the end of March, we'll see you, back in April. We'll
Mhm.
pay you until the end of March. No big deal, blah. So it's like, okay. But then I'm at home and I'm like, okay, I don't have the excuse that I don't have time to figure this out.
Absolutely.
Right?
Check one off your list.
Exactly. Because all I have right now is
Time.
time.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's like, well, that cannot be my excuse anymore. I have got to sit down and I have to figure it out. The other thing too is that I was getting paid from 2 studios, but not getting paid from 2 other studios, right?
Exactly. Understood.
So then it's like, okay, this is affecting my finances, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and I have children to feed, so I can't
Mhm.
I can't be reliant on whether, a studio is deciding to keep me on or not.
Mhm.
So that too was a huge like aha, like, Monica, you got to take care of yourself. You got to figure this out, for yourself. Plus it was a dream that I always wanted to do, so it was like, this is the perfect time.
Absolutely.
And so I sat down and I figured it out. And I didn't open my studio right away.
Mhm.
I took a few weeks to figure out how to get everything set up. And
Mhm.
then once I started, then I started inviting people to join, and they did. And this whole time, these past 2.5 years have been trial and error. Something comes up. I used to like get stressed out and be like, oh my God, this is a problem
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
Why is this happening?
Mhm.
I can't
Mhm. What have
figure
I
it
done wrong?
out. Right. So, I just went through an entire website redesign, right?
Correct.
And it was
Correct.
supposed to go live on a certain day. And on that certain day, when I thought it was going live, I got texts and emails from a couple of people that said, I don't think your link is working. It's going to like some error page. Well,
Mhm.
while they were sending that to me, I was driving my daughter to school.
Mhm.
There's nothing I can do at that point because I have to
Absolutely.
drive her to school, right? A couple years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, probably started speeding and end up getting a ticket. But I calmly drove her to school.
Mhm.
I calmly drove home. And my motto is everything is figure outable, right? All I,
Growth, Monica, growth.
right.
I think of that as growth, and seeing that several years ago you would have, my word, not yours, freaked out about this, but you kind of said, you know what, it's going to be what it's going to be. And I love that, because I think that too many of us put too much emphasis on what went wrong,
Yeah.
as
I mean,
opposed to emphasizing, you know what, whatever that timing glitch is,
mhm,
it'll be okay.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'll figure this out. So let's get into, if you don't mind, disclosing some of the obstacles that you've come into or that you've experienced, especially within the last few years of you talked a little bit about tech obstacles. I'm going to assume that there have been some other things, and maybe not necessarily specifically with your business, but even with your mindset in getting to where you needed to be to do what you wanted to do with your life.
Okay, sure. So if we're talking about mindset, working for yourself, being an entrepreneur can have a huge impact on your self-worth, your
Absolutely.
value, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we can put that, our own self-worth, in the hands of other people. And
No
so
one
that's
else.
a huge lesson to be learned, that just because somebody says, I don't want to work with you anymore, for whatever reason,
Correct.
right? And the reason usually is not like us,
About you.
right?
It's not yours.
Right.
Absolutely.
But for whatever reason, being okay with that and knowing that that doesn't mean the end of it all.
Absolutely.
Right. And you've
Absolutely.
had this experience with this person, or this time with this person. I've had people who have left the membership and have returned back to it. So early in 2020, I remember there was a student that was like, okay, I'm going to cancel my membership now. And I was like, oh my God, what have I
What
done
did I
wrong? I
do?
know. And I was like, why did she leave? Was
Mhm.
it not enough for her? And I mean, I think it's good practice to ask people,
Sure. Absolutely.
just follow up, like, what did you
Absolutely.
like? What did you not? What would you want, in an online studio, just to get some feedback, but then also being able to compartmentalize that and say, okay, this information that I'm just going to put over here and use it for later, right? When people come in and out, it's called churn, right? And so I don't experience a lot of churn in my membership, but it's because I've learned how to serve my people. And so that is another huge learning lesson too, because it's not just about teaching classes. It's not just about having a library of recorded classes,
Mhm.
but it's about education. It's about community. It's about checking in with people. And so all of that, I have a friend who wanted to start an online studio, and she said, I just need some passive income. And I said, it's not passive at all. So just
Absolutely.
please do it,
Absolutely.
but know that this is not passive income at
Absolutely.
all.
Absolutely.
It's work. It takes work.
Absolutely.
And students and members need to be nurtured, and they need to be
Absolutely.
heard. And so there's this balance of also like giving and receiving too, that I have had to learn, because I can't just give all the time,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. And then you
Otherwise,
deplete yourself.
I'm
Absolutely.
gonna, right, be burnt out. I'm going to feel some sort of way about what I'm doing, like not in a good way,
Exactly. The
right?
pleasure that you give will be diminished.
Yes, that is like huge, like mindset thing that I had to just kind of go through the process of learning, because it's not like somebody could say to me in the beginning, shift your mindset and just let it be this, right? I
Yeah,
mean, it's a process of just go
absolutely.
through it and learning it myself.
Just narrowing down that question, what would you tell someone who's listening to you today who is an enthusiast of yoga or ballet or of the arts or something, that has a passion to take their gift? And I always think of these as gifts. These are gifts that have been curated by skill, but
Mhm.
they're gifts nonetheless, to the next level. So what would you say?
Well, do it.
Do it. I love it. Do
Right,
it.
right.
Exclamation point.
But here's the thing, even more so than just do it, because I mean, it might sound just, flippant to say do it, right? Because if it were just as easy as do it, we'd all be doing it,
Doing
right?
it.
It might seem scary, right?
Might,
Might,
Monica?
right?
Might? Just a little? How about petrifying and terrifying initially to
Yeah,
put yourself
yeah,
out there?
yeah. But here's the thing, be afraid
Absolutely.
and still do it.
Absolutely.
Be
Be
afraid
willing
and
to
still
take the
do it.
risk.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because there's no way that you're going to get past the fear if you don't go through it.
Absolutely. Any regrets?
Oh, any regrets? Um, sure.
Tell me one. Share one.
So what I would say is valuing my worth in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
right? And um, actually charging more for a membership, which I knew I was going to be, working hard to cultivate.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is also not as easy as just charge more, Monica. Okay, do it. But working through this, who am I to be doing this?
Correct. That's what do I have to offer?
Right. And will people find it valuable? And, now I stand in a place where my prices are my prices, but I realize that they might not be accessible for everybody, which is fine because what I've done is created other ways for them to work with me that are at different price points. And so that's huge. It's like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, this option doesn't work for you, then try this. Just having different entry points for people to come in. I realized also that with the online studio, in 2020, it was easy to get people to join it, right? Because
there was nothing else to do.
What was the option, right? The students that I like to work with are beginners, injured bodies, and aging bodies, right? So what I realized is for people who either are beginners or who have never practiced yoga before, to say to them, come join my membership might be a little overwhelming because it's like, well, where do I even start? I have no idea. I don't know anything, about yoga. This was a lesson also that I learned when I was teaching in person, because I'd have a new student show up to class and be like, I'm here for yoga. And I'm teaching a power yoga class. And I'm like, okay, this might not be right. This might not be the class for you. But somebody told this person, try yoga. And
that's where
6 o'clock on a Tuesday night was the time that they had. And so that's the class that they showed up. I realized that there needed to be more conversations around yoga so that people don't feel overwhelmed. They don't feel like yoga is not for me, right? Because they happen to come to a class that didn't fit their needs.
Right.
So part of how my online space has evolved is that I've created an on-ramp for people, right? So if you've never taken a yoga class, then sign up for this free intro to yoga video series, right? Where I walk you through the frequently asked questions. I walk you through what yoga is, what it isn't. I just give you like that talk that we need before even
teaching, Monica?
Before even thinking about stepping on a mat. And then after that, I have a yoga foundations course, which is a self-paced course that teaches, because we see yoga on social media, right? And we think, it's got to be physical, and it's not. Yoga is a lifestyle. It is not just this physical practice. And so in that yoga foundations course, I teach meditation, right? What meditation is, let's practice it. These are the different kinds of meditation that you can try. I teach breath work, different breathing practices. But then I break down yoga poses so that you understand you have a full library of yoga poses that have modifications and progressions, how to use props, and then some short classes that people can take to get used to practicing yoga. And then that way, then they have this on-ramp into a membership and they feel like, okay, I belong here. I'm not lost.
I love it. I love it. I love two things you said, Monica. The first was free. And I think that, many entrepreneurs, myself included, offer introduction or free classes just so that people are not intimidated by what they are experiencing. But the other piece is that you talked about an on-ramp that's accessible to everyone, regardless or irregardless of who they are and what skills they have or would like to learn. So I love that. And I thank you so much for sharing that. And I thank you, Monica, for being open with your, the obstacles, the things that you didn't do right. it still led you here. And I'm so excited that we have an opportunity, or that this forum provides an opportunity for people to discuss where they are and why they are where they are. And that regardless of what your passion is, there is a way to make it your purpose. There is a way to live a life where you feel fed by you.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that the mistakes are a necessary part
Absolutely.
of the
Absolutely.
plan. You have to mistake, right? You can call it fail forward if you want to, but these places are where you grow.
Absolutely.
Right? Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you just start your dream and then 2 days later you're a millionaire, it's like,
wow.
yeah, but
Wow.
where are all the lessons in
Absolutely.
all of that, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
And I so appreciate you saying that. And I appreciate the reminder that obstacles don't deter your path. They just give you insight into either, my idea, a way to do something different or a way to do something better. And so those two things together with your just do it
yeah,
means that, you know what? Sometimes you just got to take a risk and invest in you and invest in the life that you want and invest in making the life that you want. So I thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I would love to do this again with you, because we didn't really get into some of the specifics of what I know. You gave a general description of your services, but I would love to have an opportunity to really talk to you about what you do, what you offer. I'm going to have a link that will also have our listeners give them the opportunity to click on. I think it's the Thriving Yoga Teacher, correct?
my website,
Yes.
Enhanced Body.
Enhanced Body.
Body.com. Yeah.
And you are the Thriving Yoga Teacher.
Yes. Yes.
And can I also say, I love that you became the Thriving Yoga Teacher, because that's the word that so many of us aspire to while we're still surviving.
Yeah.
So the push to move from survival to thriving, you did it.
Yeah.
And I so appreciate your willingness to come and to talk to us. And so anybody who wants to reach you, Monica, can you tell them how they can do that? I'll put a link also below, but can you let them know?
Absolutely. So my website is enhanced-body.com. And that's where you can find all of my offerings and the free downloads and everything. As far as social platforms, the best place to find me is on Instagram. And my handle is Monica Seabright on Instagram.
Right. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my yoga teacher. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you've got a busy day and I know you have something going on right now, but I thank you for taking a moment just to talk with us and to give us some insight into how you became the Thriving Yoga Teacher.
That's right.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to have another episode of Courageous Conversations. I hope that you found some insight and some value into listening to how Monica Bright took her passion and made it her purpose. So thank you.